November 13th, 1992. Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield for the undisputed heavyweight title. Classic fight, and Riddick Bowe gets the win, including an amazing 11th and 12th round of this one in Las Vegas. All right, let's reminisce a little bit in the first of what was a wild trilogy as it turned out for these guys. This was the first of those fights 32 years ago.
What can you say? I think that if you take a look at the history of boxing, you're talking about trilogies, other than maybe Ali and Frazier, which certainly is the most well-known and most famous, obviously, that this is the next one on the list. And if you ask me, I don't know if I can say it's better than Ali Frazier, but I do know this. If you take a look at the 3 Ali Frazier fights, the first fight is an awesome fight. The second fight is extraordinarily forgettable. And the third fight is a legendary fight, the Thrill in Manila. In Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield, all 3 fights are amazing. All 3 fights are action-packed. All 3 fights are massive battle royale type fights. The first 2 for the heavyweight title. The third fight wasn't for the title, but basically was the fight that most people considered Holyfield and Bowe 1 and 2 in the weight class. You mentioned about the great 11th and 12th. You forgot about the fact that Riddick Bowe almost had Evander Holyfield out in the 10th round. That was a spectacular round. It was picked as the round of the year by the Ring magazine. I mean, it was incredible fight. It was the fight of the year for a lot of people in 1992. It's as good as it gets in a heavyweight division. You had Riddick Bowe, who was hadn't yet fought for the title, but was the clear and obvious #1 contender. Holyfield had defended the undisputed title.
Former Olympian Riddick Bowe, built up big time in the media when the mainstream media cared tremendously about the heavyweights and about the Olympic process.
Got stopped in the gold medal match by Lennox Lewis.
But still, he was built up and propped up, and this was his big moment to fight Holyfield for the undisputed title.
Right, and Holyfield was still considered by many people to be sort of undersized, even though he had defended the undisputed title in other defenses against George Foreman, who was older, in a great fight against Larry Holmes. Obviously, had defeated Buster Douglas to become the undisputed champion. But Bowe, I think a lot of people looked at Evander's record in terms of as a heavyweight champion, even though he had fought a lot of good fighters and obviously had been the undisputed champ at cruiserweight. But this was considered as a heavyweight champion, with no disrespect to guys like Larry Holmes and George Foreman. But this was supposed to be like, the first real fight. Because remember also, he had defended the title between the Holmes and the Foreman fight. He had defended against the late replacement Burt Cooper and almost got knocked out by a journeyman kind of opponent. So his defenses after Douglas were Foreman, great fight, but against an old man. Burt Cooper, who nearly knocked him out. Larry Holmes, also a much older fighter. And now he takes on the undefeated Riddick Bowe, who was finally, a real top-level heavyweight, a younger guy, #1 contender, first real, quote-unquote, real guy in terms of his defenses at heavyweight. And it was a phenomenal fight, and Riddick Bowe was able to get the win, and it wasn't even that close. I mean, yes, it was competitive, but in terms of the scoring, it was a clear and away victory for Riddick Bowe. And then they put on, 2 more barn burner type fights that followed that. But this first fight is the crowning moment of Riddick Bowe's career. He never reached this level again. Obviously, he lost the title back to Holyfield when they met the second time. That was I don't know if it was like that big of an upset, but he still lost the title. And then, of course, when they had the third fight, it wasn't for the title, even though he knocked out Evander Holyfield. So the first fight, though, is nothing more than a legendary fight. I mean, there's no other way about it. And I think a lot of people, when they look at the trilogy, the second fight, although a great fight, is remembered, unfortunately, more because of the crazy fan
man in the middle of it.
And the third fight, that's the caveman fight.
But the interesting thing, by the way, about the fan man aspect is, I believe Bowe, we've talked about this so many times, it's not the anniversary right now, we won't spend long on it, but I think Bowe was winning the second fight. And then the fan man thing happens, and they have the delay and all the circus where it's over by Bowe's corner. And when they resume, Holyfield wins the fight. My point is this: if that continues along without the idiocy, without the fan man, do we ever have a third fight? Does Bowe go ahead and beat him the second time, and there's no need for a third fight? I mean, it's not what happened. It's just a what if. It's a what if.
Yeah. And also about this fight, remember, when this first fight was over and Riddick had won the titles, Lennox Lewis, who would become his mandatory challenger, and obviously was his rival from the amateurs and had stopped Riddick to win the gold medal in the Olympic Games, was there watching at ringside. He was involved with some of the commentary on HBO's broadcast. It was a pay-per-view, but when they showed the replay, him and Bowe almost got into it at ringside after the fight, and it was only a couple of weeks later, a month later, where they held that infamous press conference where Riddick Bowe, in my opinion, made the terrible decision that was probably not really his decision, but more the decision of his manager, Rock Newman, where he literally threw the WBC title in the trash can, and he's never really lived that down
Right.
because it was very clear and as day that as great of a fight as he had done against Evander and to win the title, which he deserved and became the undisputed champ, he was ducking Lennox Lewis, no doubt about it. And it never happened, unfortunately, in the professional ranks. But it did happen as the amateur gold medal match in the Olympics, and Riddick got knocked out. But you can never take away the night where you became the undisputed champion. It's one of the all-time greatest fights in boxing history, certainly in the heavyweight division. As I mentioned, fight of the year, had a round of the year, just an amazing battle. And it led to two more phenomenal fights between Holyfield and Bowe, who, by the way, to this day, are still the closest of friends.